Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Daniel Hood Roofing. Whether it's a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Daniel Hood Roofing can take care of you. No one has the combination of resume, accolades, training, and testimonials. Just do yourself a favor. You see the website right there, danielhoodroofing.com. Go to the website, look at all of the stuff they've got there, but go down to the testimonials where you will see dozens and dozens of East Tennesseans like yourself who have trusted Daniel Hood Roofing and been happy they did. DanielHoodRoofing.com, or you can call them today because operators are standing by. All right, Jimmy was happy that Josh and Bob got this question. We were talking about it in the break. Bob and Josh, Georgia's recruited like a machine in recent years. They're coming off a national championship on the road against a vastly superior roster. What is the path for Tennessee to pull the upset in Athens? Is there a path? Aside from the obvious, you're going to need 19 turnovers, rainstorm.
Blah, 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 yeah. How about this? If Tennessee could offensively play a clean game and don't have penalties.
Which is tough that's a Heupel trademark.
It's tough, but play a clean game, you don't get penalties, you don't drop passes. Offensively, you play perfectly to where on first down you have a run for 6 yards, call back because of a motion penalty or something. And, okay, now you're 1st and 15. Right. Against Georgia, that kills you.
Right.
So Tennessee can by itself, without asking Georgia to have to give it to you, just play as clean as you possibly can.
And that way you only lose by 3 touchdowns. Josh, do they have a path?
Yeah, and Bob's right. The problem with that is that Georgia's defense is so good that it's almost impossible to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. Because part of my thought is, well, you have to block. You just have to block the whole game and keep them from getting to Hendon Hooker and then and opening up holes for your running backs. And I'd say, but they're too big and fast, and they'll close those holes. That's part of the issue. So, I mean, realistically, no. You need Georgia to remember how easy it was for them last year and hope that they go in thinking that this time.
Overconfident.
Yeah.
Or maybe Georgia thinks it's in Knoxville, and so they come up here.
Georgia lost a lot of players. I mean, that defense filled up the NFL first round, as a matter of fact.
5 picks.
Is there any – I mean, look, he's recruited spectacularly, and we've seen that that's worked for Alabama and Ohio State. It should work on paper, but is there some doubt? I mean, we haven't seen this defense with new guys in it.
There's going to be some doubt, but at the same time, when you're replacing a 5-star and the competition to replace him is 2 other 5-stars,
right,
that makes replacing him a whole lot easier.
Plus, the other lame part of what I was throwing out there, just to try and generate conversation, is this. It's not like those backups never got in the game.
Right.
So they were playing last year. It's just they didn't start.
Yeah, they have backups that if they transferred to Tennessee this offseason would be immediately inserted into the starting lineup.
Which, let me tie this together very quickly. We talked about Alabama and Tennessee might have, they might have the formula that beats Alabama. We've seen how you
formula.
Yeah. As much as I think Alabama and Saban are scarier than Georgia, the way Tennessee is built and the way Alabama and Georgia are built right now, is Georgia a tougher ask than Alabama?
I would think so.
I mean, Georgia got the better defense.
That's their question.
No,
I mean, last year's Georgia team was just so talented at every position on defense. People said, was that the best defense in the history of college football? I think it possibly was.
In this era, to do what they did.
In this era.
Okay. Is Georgia a tougher ask than Alabama for Tennessee?
Saban. So, no.
Okay. Well, then I'll expect you to give me your X factor. Jimmy and Chuck, Missouri comes to Knoxville next, and how they have fallen since they first arrived in the SEC a decade ago. Won the East a couple of years. It looked like, when Gary Pinkel was there, it was a good program. Now it has fallen off. Whether they can climb out of the mess, I don't know. But when you look at the fact, over the last 3 years, Tennessee has beaten Missouri by an average score of 40-19. I remind you, 2 of those years were Jeremy Pruitt here.
Yeah.
40-19 the last 3 years. I don't think there are any fans here that care about that game one lick. I think if you gave them the choice, Kentucky or Missouri, they'd rather see Kentucky. South Carolina, Missouri, South Carolina. Vandy, Missouri, Vandy. We remember in the 90s when you'd get to November and yawn your well grade, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vandy. Is Missouri now another Vandy at the end of Tennessee's schedule for the fans? And should it be?
Yeah, well, you said that they've been a mess. They're still a mess. And I don't know when they're going to come out of that mess. And I don't know that Eli Drinkwitz is the answer. But their defense was horrible. Their line of scrimmage was horrible. They're not getting the skilled people that they used to get. Their recruiting has not been very good. Yeah, they've fallen apart, and it's kind of hard to see them coming out of the abyss, in particular when you start adding Texas and Oklahoma to this league. I think Missouri's going to struggle for a long time until they find the right coach, and I don't think Drinkwitz is the right coach.
Or find the right quarterback. I mean, the 2 years they won the East, they had James Franklin, who was one of those Josh Dobbsian type quarterbacks who could do it all and carried the team for a lot of that.
And Locke was dangerous. Drew Locke was a pretty dangerous.
And they did it all wrong. They
Heupel.
had their most success right off the bat, right?
Yeah.
And I think because of the distance, and it's just like, it doesn't even seem like they're in the same division sometimes, It's just, but the 10 games they've played, the series is 5-5. Tennessee's on a 3-game winning streak, but at least the series is
All
even.
right, so you guys agree, though, that it's kind of just become a new Vanderbilt at the end of this game. Yeah, okay, we got to roll this.
I wish you could move it up. It's good.
But should it be? You just mentioned that they've given Tennessee, not the last 3 years, but previously they've given Tennessee control. Should it be more? Should Vol fans take it more seriously? Because I think a lot of people, including this media guy, is kind of like, yeah, okay, Missouri. I just don't care about that game. Should I be taking it more seriously, Chuck?
Yes, I mean,
You're wrong. Okay. No, that's fine.
well, I mean, if you don't take it more seriously, to me, that's how you end up getting beat. And like Jimmy said, they've really gone on, on a tailspin.
Yep.
But it's an SEC win, and you got to treat it just like SEC wins are hard to come by.
Okay.
I thought Missouri had a better recruiting year than Tennessee did last year.
Last year?
Last year, did they not finish
Drinkwitz.
ahead of Tennessee in recruiting?
They did have a solid class. They signed a big-time wide receiver this year. But
Luther Burden.
Yeah, but overall their recruiting has not been
Okay.
what you need.
But better than Tennessee.
Well,
I
not
thought
this-
Tennessee ended up ranking higher in the end.
Did they?
Tennessee wound
Okay,
up,
I thought.
what, top 15?
But not at receiver.
Yeah, Missouri wasn't top 15. All right, when we come back, how important is the South Carolina game this year, considering where those two programs are? That's one question. The other question, you got Alabama here, you got Vanderbilt here. Where's Tennessee? Is Vandy closer to beating Tennessee, or is Tennessee closer to beating Alabama? That's how I'm going to spin the Vanderbilt topic. Come on back.